Ed Harrison here for Real Vision. I am talking today to Ajit Pai, who is a former FCC chairman. He's actually a partner at Searchlight, and he is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Ajit, welcome to Real Vision.
Ed, it is great to be with you. Thanks to Real Vision for having me on.
Yes, and I think that you are unique because the three titles that I just gave are, go the gamut from the public sector, academia to the private sector. When we're talking about technology, which we're going to be talking about today, you're someone who has a very unique perspective into that. And I want to pick your brain on all three of those spheres if we can.
I would love to share what little wisdom I've accumulated over the years.
I was telling you before that we are doing a period where we're thinking about the exponential age. This is the moniker that we're using to think about different technologies moving forward rapidly, but also coalescing and creating exponential growth in the economy and in technology. But that has obviously side effects in terms of displacement. It has side effects in terms of the digital divide. It has side effects in terms of the need for digital infrastructure. So these are all things I know that you can talk to, and I'm really excited to get your perspective. First and foremost, I would say, in terms of your period in the public sector as the chairman of the SEC. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what you learned. What is it like actually to be at the top ranks in the government in a fast-moving industry like telecom and technology?
Well, certainly for me, from a professional perspective, it was an exhilarating experience. I can't think of an industry more dynamic than technology and telecom, and especially over the last 4 years, to have that vantage point as the leader of the premier communications agency in the United States was incredible. Getting to learn about all these different technologies, trying to put in place the building blocks for innovation and investment, trying to deliver consumer value, especially to those who for too long have been on the wrong side of the digital divide and haven't been able to get access to technologies. It was an incredible experience. And even the international aspect of the job was great. More than ever, our networks are interconnected, and thus our policies need to be interconnected as well. And being able to get to know my counterparts from Malaysia to Bahrain to Brazil and come together on common policies on things like spectrum or security, it was a great experience. And also say just personally, I'm a first generation immigrant. My parents came to the United States 50 years ago this month, as a matter of fact, with $8, a transistor radio, and a belief in the American dream. And within one generation, to have the privilege of being appointed by two presidents to these important positions at the FCC, it was just the honor of a lifetime. And so I'm really grateful to my parents for the sacrifice, of course, and for this country for the opportunity it afforded me.
Yeah, that's a great story. I did not know that. That's amazing. It's interesting when you talk about you talking to colleagues in other countries. I was just thinking about how they deal with technology versus the United States. We're very hands off, and it's very sort of Darwinian. What was your experience as a regulator? Dealing with other countries in terms of their setup, because we know Asia in particular is supposedly there are many countries where they direct investment towards specific sectors in order to jumpstart those sectors of the economy.
In my experience, it was very interesting to see that other countries studied the FCC's decision-making quite closely. And so, for example, one of the decisions I was proudest of was freeing up the so-called 6 gigahertz band, sort of one of the key bands for mid-band spectrum, for Wi-Fi, for unlicensed use, so that consumers could use it without having to get a license from the FCC. And innovators could use that as well to deliver cutting-edge applications. And amazingly, when I talked to my counterparts abroad, they saw that decision and said, wow, can you talk to us about it? Can you help us understand why you made that decision? And now, as a result of that decision we made a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, Brazil, South Korea, India, other countries, South Korea I mentioned as well, they've all followed that decision. And so there's some interesting spillover effects. And I think the market-based framework that the FCC has had over many administrations, I think it's replicated in a lot of other countries. And that redounds to the benefit of consumers everywhere. So there's kind of an interesting experience. There are certainly some countries, as you mentioned, that have more of a command and control approach. But in the